about trying to build kind of a mini carbon cub. I was just slowly bringing the power up, waiting, just checking gauges, and first time, and I said, whoa, 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 this thing's flying. We've been working on this for a long time conceptually.
All right, guys, this is going to be a good one. I'm going to show you a brand new custom built experimental aircraft. And some of you may be looking at this going like, what in the heck is that? It is a RANS S7 that's been highly customized. I'm here with Emmett. He just barely got this thing built. And we're going to talk about it and tell you all the goodies. They've gone through this thing and they've customized so much. It doesn't even look like a RANS S7. Is Joel calling this the Outcast Cub?
Sorta. We're calling it the Outcast S7 Cub.
Outcast S7 Cub. Okay. It is incredible. As you can see, the cowling is completely different. It's not a S7 cowling. It's got tail feathers that are different, and we're gonna get into all that good stuff. So, yeah, this is Emmett Welch, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
So, how many S7s have you had?
This is my fourth.
And
my second collaboration with Joel. So he and I have known each other a while, and if there's an S7 that needs to be built custom, Joel's the guy.
How many has he built? It's a lot. It's a lot. He's the S7
More
guy.
than anybody else, except for probably Rands and Mark Pringle. Start with the idea. I love carbon cubs, but I can't afford one, like most of us. And I love the S7. We had started talking a while back about trying to build kind of a mini carbon cub. A lot of it was inspired by, I think, by the Edge Performance 912 STI motor. Once we started seeing these, turbocharged, intercooled, big board Rotax, just gets excited because now we're talking great horsepower at the altitudes that we fly at, and either in High Sierra or here, and you just run out a lot of power. And so now we've got 155 horsepower at altitude. I love the round tail feathers of a Cub, and so anyway, that was a lot of talk, and Joel had already done some of these. He called it the Outcast, and all we were missing was a big motor and a lot of other custom stuff. So we've been working on this for a long time conceptually, and then we had a pretty long break because I wrecked my last S7, and that was supposed to become this plane, but instead we got a new kit and actually a secondhand kit, and finished that, brought it to Joel to do all this customization, and that's the idea. And then there was a lot of other ideas.
This was a builder assist with Joel.
Yeah.
So the tail feathers. Let's walk back there. Right. Friggin' love them. It looks so good.
I'm not sure Joel knows exactly, but it's got a bit more cord on both the elevator and the rudder. So it's got a lot of rudder authority, and just taxi around here, you can get the tail up with just a little bit of power. A little bit more rudder, especially, and some elevator on the S7 isn't a bad thing. And it looks great. Well, I love that you're going to show up. I'm going to show up, and now everybody will probably know, but you show up and fly, and you're like, oh, it's a what is it? Well, I mean, overall, it is an S7. I mean, really, the only thing that's been changed structurally, I guess you could say, it's not structurally, just flying surfaces, is the tail. Joel does some modification to the tail section here just to make it stronger, and he leaves that uncovered so you can inspect that area, because that's an area that breaks a lot with tail wheels and whatnot. But other than that, it's an S7. Now it's got some other additions to it, both cosmetic and performance.
I guess the other major cosmetic would be the cowling.
Cowling, so that's a one-off. Obviously the Edge Performance motor generates a lot more heat. It's larger, it's turbocharged, so got to get rid of a lot of heat, and that was one limitation you had with the S7. That, stock it's great, but as you start to pump up horsepower, or even how you cowl it, if you cowl it pretty closely, it's got a pretty clogged up inside that cowl, and the radiator sits at the bottom of the exit. It's hard to get the heat away, and you got usually an oil cooler in the nostril, so it's just it's great if you build it kind of stock, but if you don't, you'd usually run into cylinder head temperature is your limiter on climb.
So anything more with the ass end?
Nothing different other than the structural thing we talked about. Now you see a trim tab there that we do have an Autopilot. That's the eye level Autopilot, which I can talk a little bit about.
Yep.
It's I think the lightest Autopilot you can get. It's like 1.5 pounds installed. No servos, it's all trim tab. Don't have a lot of time with it yet, but it works. I got to play with the rates on the trim tabs because right now it was kind of just hunting for level, but that's about all I've done with it. But it'll fly a GPS, course, or it'll just keep your wings level. And if you just turn it off, it's just a trim tab, so it'll keep you in trim too. Yeah, and it's a full another AHRS too. So you have WAS GPS, ADS-B in. Full AHRS,
in the whole Autopilot system.
Yeah, we ended up with like 5 AHRS in the plane. That was by accident, but
and it literally is the lightest weight.
Yeah,
Autopilot.
Weighs nothing.
Yeah. Okay, tail wheel.
Yeah, that's the TK1 Tony's, the Kasbasic new tail wheel. We run his gear, which has been just awesome. I think him or the Roberts gear are great. He's making that new tail wheel. It's 14.5 pounds, I think, complete with the tire and everything. Paint
scheme, decal.
Well, it's a combination of things. Like my partner and I have a partner that's playing, Carl Stolnick, and we love the Carbon Cub. I love the orange Carbon Cub, and I love their paint scheme. Again, this is kind of a tribute almost to a Carbon Cub, but this is exactly one of their paint packages, Omaha orange, and this is a little bit different, darker charcoal. But it's that same kind of swoopy up to the tail, and then Dave Embry, the guy who's built I think 5 or 6 Carbon Cubs, just gorgeous airplanes, and his paint is unbelievable. And I've talked to him a few times, just here and there via Facebook, and he really kind of, I think, got me thinking about this idea of a mountainscape. And I grew up in the sticks and love the mountains. Obviously it's a mountain plane, and so it's the last little feather in the cap of the plane, I think.
No, I walked in when I was like, oh, it's a different plane.
Yeah, it transformed. I know.
It did. I'm excited to see the Sasquatch.
Yeah. Sasquatch is going somewhere. I wish Sasquatch hadn't been taken in a plane already, but it has.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, there's a plane called Sasquatch. But,
oh, shoot.
So Sasquatch, now we're giving it away because it was going to be a surprise for my partner, but he's going to appear somewhere in the...
I don't have to put that in.
In the tree.
I can cut this
That's
out.
all right. I might make a magnetic one that I can somehow just put a little backer back.
Just like
move them around.
Get a couple.
Yeah. Wings. Yeah. So it's a standard S7 wing. But it's got about additional 12 inches. So the normal S7 wing, I think the last bay ends here. Ends here, I think. And so Joel's added a little bit to the spar. It's been sleeved, and he has an engineer that had done some work a while back on some of the calculations to do that. And then it uses his wingtip, his design. Some fiberglass wingtip. So we get about another additional 12 inches on each wing. So quite a bit of lift. And then the guys at Badlands Stoll,
Yep.
Levi and Clint. Levi was great to work with. I told him about what we were doing, and they just come out with a cuff on the S7. And so they sent us a cuff to Joel, and so you can see that here, how it droops out ahead of the leading edge. The good deal is it's a retrofittable kit, but because we were at the build stage, it just replaced essentially the leading edge wrap that you put on anyway. So it was really easy to install, and we've just started flying it, so we haven't got a lot of numbers yet. But this thing just leaps off the ground. Flies slow, and we're really looking forward to seeing how it overall performs.
You just put the VGs on.
Just put VGs on.
Hopefully we got those in the...
Yeah, the right spot. That's always a question, but I think I think we went off of Hal Stockman's running them here. He's got the same cuff.
It accelerates air over the top more and is a sharper edge, so it's less drag. So they actually fly slower and faster than the stock wing.
I've always found running them a little bit further forward, like the Cub guys, generally performs a little bit better. So we'll see.
Yeah. Should we jump to the engine and cowling and how we were able to keep that cool? And
yeah, so we knew that was going to be a challenge because even in my last S7, which is owned by a guy named Brent Mays out in Oregon now, you know, it always the limitation on climb was cylinder head temps. They would get up there. But I had one of the pre-S, it's called the pre-S Longtail S7, which was a little different firewall forward. It had the original belly radiator, and we can see down here that this one has a belly radiator. The belly radiator is huge. It's probably almost 2 feet long and over a foot wide. What I remember about that S7 was you could climb pretty much unlimited, and oil temp was usually your limiter. That's where you got to stop. And that was only on really hot days. It just really cooled really well. So talking with Jason Boussat at Edge about a strategy for how to keep this thing cool. You know, I said, hey, what if we run that original belly radiator? By the time you actually get that back there and the lines to run it, and then we also have a radiant heater, probably got about 20% more coolant in the plane in general. But that does a lot of things. It gets that radiator out of the cowling, which we usually on a stock S7 is right here, and it kind of restricts airflow. And then you've got a radiator for your oil coolers right here. So by pulling that radiator out of there, we pulled the oil cooler out of here and put a big one up front. This is a set rab. I think it's a little bit larger than the 915 now oil cooler. So high flow, all high flow fittings. And now by giving that radiator back under the belly, we opened up a lot of the cowling. And then Joel's design was, he does these Outcast Cub cowls, and you can see they got a cheek on them, kind of like a Super Cub.
Yep.
And so we've got a lot of exit area now, and the nostrils are really not even that big. Those are kind of sized down a little bit. So we got a lot of exit area. We can really play with it as much as we needed to. So far, it's actually hard to get the oil temp up to what we need to, but we've been running a lot without the cowl. I think that's going to be good. You know, on all the first flights now with the cowling on, the temperature of the oil cooler, our cylinder heads and oil temps are running about the same, which is great. We've got a small door that Joel has designed this little fairing or cowl for the radiator. So that's a door we can close from inside in the cockpit to heat it up quicker. And to kind of control that. But so far, full power climb has it's been cool here in Idaho, but have no issues with heat, and I don't expect we will. I think we're gonna have, this is really kind of a killer setup for the S7. And of course we had the intercooler and the turbo inlet to deal with, so got our big NR prop, but it's got a little bit of everything. I mean, the Norden is a cool plane. It's got a little bit of the Norden in the nostrils. The Super Cub we talked about, and then at the end of the day, we just wanted it. The S7 has beautiful lines. We didn't want to really kind of screw with those too much. But so this is Joel's handiwork. He's great at composite work. So we've got a dedicated NACA kind of built into the cowl for the intercooler, and that is isolated, so there's a little bit of a kind of almost like a plenum. It's going to go straight in and then it goes straight out, and we've got a little bit larger cheek there on a cowl. And then separate from that, we've got this dedicated turbo inlet feed, and the airbox temperatures are running really cool so far, so that looks great. Anyway, I think he just did an amazing job. It looks great, and I think it's going to be both form and function are really just going to be top notch. So,
all right, should we go inside? Yeah. Anything else you can think about?
Outside, no. I mean, TK1 gear, which is, we run that before. We run 31s on this one because why not? We got some horsepower now. So
yeah.
Some landing lights we end up doing, which are bright, and this thing is like daylight out front. But other than that, it's we've gone over most of the stuff outside.
Do the landing lights strobe also? Or
they wag, yeah.
They do
so
wag, yeah.
That's a function of this PDM, which I'll go over when we talk about the panel here. Let's open this up. Usually, yeah, usually S7 has two full doors, which is great if you're gonna run like floats or something like that. But usually the S7, the throttle's kind of down here in a weird place, and the door adds a little bit of weight. So what Joel's mod is essentially just welds in a frame here, and then does a half window here. So this just pops out,
oh, nice.
And you could pop that up in flight, and then that allows you to move your throttle up a little bit to a more ergonomic place. You can kind of rest your arm here and control the throttle. It's also got Cameron and Stetson's overhead flap handle.
Yep.
So really nice addition. You get used to the flap where it is in the stock S7, but it's really not in a great place, especially if you want to kind of pull it to jump off the ground. So now it's just in a great spot, and it's nice and smooth and over speeding the flaps.
Because the old flap handle was down.
Yeah, it was down here, and it was really
you had
really
to lean
hard to get
forward
to.
and hit your forehead on the dash.
Yeah, and you really couldn't do it if you wanted to kind of pull flap as, you know, pop you up on takeoff. You really couldn't do it very well. It was just really difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. So the panel is, I love laying out panels, just the process of it. I don't really like all square. I love traditional round, but I also love glass and tech. So Garmin the Era 760 here in the front, kind of that's what you're looking at most of the time. And then, you know, these kind of like alternative clusters of the six-pack, but clustering elements here with the carbon. That's again going back to some of the great industrial design from Cub crafters and what they used to do with the, I think going all the way back to the Sport Cub. We wanted to obviously have a lot of modern safety and capabilities, and it's hard to find that in a round gauge anymore. You know, it's a lot of the stuff is just all, you know, square glass panels. So we've got two of the Micro Avionics AV30s, really a cool instrument, a lot of capabilities. We'll run, this one is primarily for attitude, and it's got AOA, it's got a lot of other things. We've got on the bottom one, we can run traffic, or as a DG for navigation. We have an external magnetometer, but it also is a control head for the tail beacon X, which we run in the tail, or I'm sorry, inside the actual empennage, and fabric airplane, so you can do that, which is great. So we've got a tail beacon that's not actually on the tail, it's just sitting back in the tail, inside the tail, but that's a full ADS-B out transponder solution, and so we have a control head here for that. We've got these Canardia instruments. I just like some of the stuff they did. They're from Europe, so combination of airspeed indicator and vertical speed and altimeter. And then we run also their engine monitor here, which is kind of a cool little guy, and it's controllable here from the stick, so we can cycle through some of the pages, and you know, dim things like that. The really kind of cool thing I think that we did here, there's no circuit breakers in this airplane, not a single circuit breaker. We do have an emergency bus, which just controls essential functions, and it's just fused. We got some fuses up under the panel here, which are just replaceable. You know, you can reach under and replace them. But this uses, and you can see the keypads on the outside here. This uses what's called a PDM, a power distribution module. Think vertical power for those of you familiar with that type of solution. This is though made by a UK company called Hardwire Electronics, a power distribution solution. So you can program what is the amperage at which it trips. What happens when it trips? Does it blow fast? Does it blow slow? What's the inrush amperage or voltage? And you know, we can plan for those things. And then what happens when it trips? Does it just automatically reset? Does it reset after 5 seconds? Do you have to manually reset it? You can program all that. And it's all CAN bus, so these pads here, Blink Marine keypads, which control, you know, some dedicated things, but we can change the function of those buttons without ever rewiring anything. We're just changing it inside the software. And like, for instance, we have the landing light. If I hit it once, the button turns green. You can change all that. There's like, I don't know, 50 different colors. Hit it once and you just get a solid landing light on. If you hit it a second time, it wags, and so now we have a wing wag, and that's not built into the lights, which a lot of times you got to buy that into a light. You can buy any LED and you just program it into that function. And so that was really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, it kind of, in a way, it simplified wiring. In other ways, it didn't, because I got so much. You know, we got a lot of avionics going on, but overall, I think the PDM is a really cool solution.
You don't have to say the price that you have into it. No worries. You don't want to. Maybe a ballpark.
About $125,000.
Oh, that's not actually bad.
Yep. Yep.
That's reasonable.
I've probably forgotten about
Okay.
3,000 of just little stuff.
And this took you how long? A year?
No, closer to 2.
Two?
Right about 2.
2
Yeah,
years.
right about 2 years.
Yeah. The question is the weight. I don't know if you want to share that either. Some of the personal.
It ended up a little fatter than we wanted, but I mean, that's mostly my fault. You know, by the time we have a lot of extra wire because we were doing this in 2 places at once, and so we didn't delete a lot of wire. And that's I talked about a summer project. So there's probably about 5 pounds of extra wire in this thing. But we went with 31s, and you know, we didn't focus on weight so much. Joel's specialty is trying to get rid of weight. I mean, he doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, there's no normal boot cowl. This is normally all fiberglass. And so he gets rid of all that and just uses a frame kind of to kind of keep the overall lines. But so he saves, I think, 7 pounds here, so here and there. But overall, we ended up at 806 empty, which
That's not bad.
We were hoping for close to 7, so we were 100 pounds off.
But you do have 150.
Yeah, we've got you know, and the cowl it's complex cowl, and so it ended up with more weight there than we wanted.
Very complex cowl, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, if you run big gear and big tires, you're gonna add weight. But I think Kit Foxes are a little bit heavier. So.
I was gonna say, I was like, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
I'm impressed.
I will tell you, that first takeoff, you know, I was looking at my airspeed because we had a little airspeed indication issue that we're trying to chase down, and I was just slowly bringing the power up, waiting, just checking gauges, and you know, first time, and I just said, whoa, this thing's flying. So I don't even think I was half power, and it was off the ground, and I took off this morning with 31s, and by the time the throttle hits the stop, you're flying.
Well, congratulations on your
Thank you.
Your brand new freaking Outcast S7
Outcast
Cub.
S7 Cub.
S7
Carbon.
Cub.
I even have logos and stickers, but we haven't had them on yet.
Okay.
I wish my partner Carl could have been here. He's obviously put a lot into this too, but he'll get his hands on it soon enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get some shots of this beautiful plane taking off, and we'll give you guys a little montage of some cool airplane shots. All right. Thanks, Emmett.
Yeah, you bet.